Hey everybody, today I just figured I'd talk about the Travato at rest. And what I mean by that is I'm not traveling right now. I'm taking kind of a holiday hiatus, possibly the rest of the winter. And I just figured I'd talk about what I do with my Travato when I'm not using it for traveling. Hey everybody, Mike Chipperini at Chipper's Island Adventures here, and I'm standing in front of my Travato right now, as you can see, and it has been winterized. Now I winterize it because the winters here in New England can be pretty hard. Today, it's close to New Year's and it's a beautiful day. Little overcast, but the temperature's only about 50 degrees, and it's a little moist, but it isn't snow. And there's times where we've had plenty of snow here at this time of year. This year is a little bit of delay in getting us some snow. But at any rate, let's get back to the Travato. I just want to talk about what I've done to it in order to prep for winter. Basically, I took all the food off the rig, and I mean canned food, bottled water, emptied out the fridge. I turned that off. Then I winterized it. I also added RV antifreeze to the shower trap, the toilet, and the sink trap, along with the sink in the bathroom. So this rig is fully winterized, and what I'd like to do is I like to plug mine in on a 15 to 20 amp service when I'm not using it. So if we come over here, you can see that I do have it plugged in. That extension cord, or that cord, leads to an outside outlet on my house. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go ahead and run my generator. They say you should run your generator for X amount of time. Some people say an hour under load. I've heard all kinds of different figures. Probably the one that is most probably the one I hear the most is running it an hour under load. Really and truly, I'm not an expert on generators, but I will say I have a home generator that when the power goes out on my house, I go ahead and plug it into the circuit. I turn the circuit off, I plug the generator in, and I power my house. And I've had that generator running for 36 to 48 hours at a time. And I've had that generator for about, I don't know, 8 years. I don't run it under load all the time. I do sometimes. I do try to run it monthly, but there's times where I miss, and it may be a couple months, and that generator has performed flawlessly for 8 years. Anyway, the only thing I've had to do to that generator is go ahead and replace the starter battery that's on it. Other than that, it's been perfect. With this here, I talked to the Cummins guys when I did my recall on the generator on board, and they basically said, you know, there's no real hard cut rule as to how long you run that generator. Just go ahead and exercise it now and then. You know, to stay on a monthly schedule is a good idea. Nothing wrong with that. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to unplug it from the house, because I don't like having two power sources at once. Even though I know this rig is probably smart enough to discern between the two and choose one. But I'm just going to use one. So let's go over here and unplug this first power source. So I'm just going to come down here. That's unplugged. And I like going over here and just taking off the cord. You know, giving that, disconnecting that. Now we'll go inside the rig and go ahead and start the generator. Now if we look at my one place right now, we can see my chassis battery is 12.4 and my house battery is 13.5, and I just unplugged it. So now I'm going to go ahead and start the generator. Now I will say that when starting the generator, sometimes it doesn't start on the first push. And then you got to go ahead and hold the button again and it'll start up. But let's see what happens. Okay, so as you can see, the generator is running, and I have about 11 hours on that generator in light of the fact that I've only owned the rig since February, which is about 10 months. So I'm right on the money as far as amount of hours per month to use. What I'm going to do right now is, while the generator is setting up, there it is. That's what I was waiting for. You just heard the power come on in the rig. If I look down here, as you can see, my microwave is fired up. So I do have power inside the rig now. So once the generator warms up a little bit, I'm going to go to the one place, and I can see that the plug is on, which means I'm getting generator power. And I'm going to go in here and select the heat, and I'm going to turn it on up to about 68. And now I'm going to come over to my mix, and I have it on EL2. Select that, and I should hear the generator go under load. Once that kicks on, there it is. So the generator is now under load, heating the rig. Now, one thing I want to make sure is, going in, I'm going to go over to the fan and see what that's on. Right now I'm going to put it on high. Now, with putting the fan on high, I just heard the load come on a little bit. So I have a full load on the generator. Now I'm going to go ahead and let that run for a while, and it's a good way to exercise the generator. That's about as high as a load as you're going to get, other than the AC, and I'm certainly not going to run AC here in the middle of the winter. So while that's doing its thing, so let's go ahead and take a look at the generator. You can hear it right there. It's actually not too loud. It's got that little puff sound. That's a lot better than other generators. So one of the things I wanted to talk about while I have the generator doing its thing here, what do I use my rig for in the winter? Well, one thing is, I'm always picking away at it, doing little things, trying to figure out better ways to organize, things like that. And I have a great back of the seat organizer coming in. I have it on order, and we'll be putting that in a couple weeks or next week or so. But what I do is, I'll go on errands with this. I always fill up the gas at BJ's, and BJ's from my house is about a 20-minute ride. And I'll go up there, I'll run some errands, and I'll go ahead and top off the tank there. When I'm in my hometown at home base, I'll use it to take rides. I'll also use it to go to the gym. I'll spend a couple hours at the gym, then I'll use it coming home. So I do a lot of things with the RV when I'm not traveling that help to exercise the chassis engine, because you don't want this thing just sitting all the time. My feeling is, you want to get the tires rolling a little bit so they don't get flat spots underneath. It's not good for this vehicle to sit. So I tend to use it a lot. So now I'm going to go ahead and let this generator do its thing, let it run for a while with the heat on, and it's a good way to test not only the generator, make sure it can handle the load, but it's also a good way to test the Troomer and make sure it's heating the rig. So we'll take a pause in the action for now, and we'll be back to it. Okay, so I've been running this generator for a while I did some yard work up here. So I'm going to go ahead and shut everything down. Now, this is the second time in this month of December that I've ran this generator to put a load on it. So I've already done the December thing, but I did this for the video. So next month in January, I'll go ahead and run this under load again. So let's go ahead inside and see how it feels in there for temperature now. Oh yeah, I can feel a difference walking in. I just put my hand in front of the vent and I can feel that heat pouring out. So that's pretty good. So let's go up here. I'm going to turn on some light. And I'm going to go here first. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the fan on eco, which it will probably go to automatically when it shuts off. And then I'm going to go over here and turn the heat down to off. And you just heard, I believe you did, the generator rev down. Now, if I go up here, you can see it's been running for about a half hour now. So what I'll do now, I'll go ahead and tell it to stop. Generator stopped. And if I check my battery levels, you can see I'm at 12.4 and 12.8, which is good. That's all fine. So that's basically how I go ahead and test my generator and put a load on it each month. Now normally I'll go longer than that. That was about a half hour. I like to go 45 minutes to an hour. Give it a good load. Let it really work. And what I just did now, as I said, I have already done this in the month of December, but I wanted to do it again for this video. So then I'll go ahead and plug it back into the house, or I can leave it for now because I think I'm going to take it to the gym today and use it as my mode of transport. So anyway, that's just my way of doing things with the generator. And I also gave you a couple ideas of what I do to use the rig kind of as a second vehicle, because I do have my primary vehicle, but I do love driving this because it is a nice ride, and doing errands around town and doing errands where I have to go up the highway out of town, it's always enjoyable in this rig. So if you like this video, feel free to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel. All the best to all, and happy RVing.